Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing my what to expect in my third year of uni. Now I've already done 2, possibly 3 of these series already. What to expect before uni, what to expect in your first year, your second year, and then this is what to expect in your third year. So if you want to know what to expect, please keep watching. Right, so I'm going to start this series off, or this episode, I don't even know, with clubbing and going out. So again, like I've mentioned before, you do get refreshers in your third year, but I think by that time, me and the girls that I lived with, we were kind of over clubbing and just in terms of like Nottingham's nightlife. And don't get me wrong, I love going into Nottingham now, but I haven't been clubbing for a while. I like the cocktail bars more and like restaurants and that kind of thing. So yeah, by the time we come around to third year, you've kind of, you know the clubs, you know where's good, you know where's not, but where we kind of struggled is that we had been to these clubs for 3 years now, and it is kind of the same place, the same music, the same people. It just gets a bit samey and repetitive. So we actually only went out, which is kind of embarrassing, one night for refreshers, but because we weren't really bothered about the whole week, we didn't bother getting the like wristbands that you would get. So you'd pay for a wristband for your entry for the entire week to get into the clubs, which we had done for the first and second year. But by the time we came to third year, we were like, we'll just play it by ear. If we want to go to 1 or 2 nights, we can, and we can just buy tickets before or just turn up on the night. So we thought, oh, we'll just play it by ear, and then it came round to refreshers, and we thought we'll go to Rock City, which is, like, in my opinion, the better club out of them all, and that was on a Thursday night. Sorry if my voice just sounds really croaky, I have no idea what's going on. I don't think I've really spoken much today. So yeah, we wanted to go to Rock City on a Thursday, so we didn't get the tickets or anything. We were just going to turn up and try and get tickets on the door. But because it was third year, it was our last year, everybody's going out for one last time, and Rock City, like I said, is definitely one of the most popular clubs for students. The queue was crazy. So it was raining, we'd all got dressed up, had our pictures taken before we went to go and queue up to get into the club, and we just thought, fuck it, can't be bothered. The queue was going to be about an hour and a half long, and we were not going to stand there in the pouring rain to go into a club that we were just like, not really bothered. We just sort of last minute thought, yeah, we should probably go. So we didn't actually even do refreshers at all for our third year. And looking back now, I do sort of wish that we had gone to 1 or 2 events, because we didn't go out much at all in our third year. Like I said, I think we were kind of over the clubs, over the music, over the same place, same thing. It's like you may as well go there any day, any time, it's going to be the same. Which some people love that. They know that they're going to go there, have a really great night. But for us, the kind of novelty of, oh my God, this is an amazing, wore off by the time we got to our third year. So we kind of replaced the clubbing, going out, with more cocktail bars, and we could then get a little bit more dressed up. You still have the music, and a lot of cocktail bars have a bit their own little dance floor as well. So we kind of went to like the likes of Slug and Lettuce, Revs, and those kind of places where it's cheap drinks still, it's a good time, and there's a bit of a dance floor. So if you want to get up and have a dance, that's fine, but you can dress up a little bit more. Not some girls wore heels to Revs and stuff, but I'm not entirely sure they were students. But we could put on a bit of a nicer top, jeans, maybe some heeled boots, go a bit more with makeup, and just kind of chill, have a couple porn stars, couple drinks, have a bit of a boogie, and then McDonald's is on the way home, so we'd go and grab our Mackies on the way home. So we kind of replaced the clubs for bars and going out for meals and stuff. Meals became a regular thing. It would be kind of on a Monday, we'd go out to Slug and Lettuce, have some food, because it's 50% off. So that became more of our regular thing than the clubbing side of things. We also kind of replaced the clubs with pubs. So we had a really good summer. I can't remember if it was actually my second or third year of uni, but it was really hot, and me and the girls kind of, went to the pubs during the day and kind of did more day drinking, which now is definitely what I would prefer. I would do day drinking over clubbing any day. I just think it's a much better time, especially during summer. You can go and sit out, because we've got some great pubs in Nottingham. If you know the Canal House, there's a Wetherspoons right down there as well. I think there's one called the Waterfront or something, but the Canal House is fab. So it's great scenery, outside seating, gorgeous little like decking and fairy lights, and really cute. So we did more of that kind of thing, day drinking and meals and kind of like family days out, and also days in. We quite enjoyed, seeing as this is our last year living together, just staying in instead of going out, having a couple of drinks at home, or more than likely just having a cup of tea or a hot chocolate, ordering a Domino's or ordering a waffles or crepes delivery. So yeah, that's in terms of clubbing and going out. We kind of were over the clubs and over the clubs, but we went more to pubs. But everybody's different. That's just, for us, we kind of were over the same clubs that we've been going to the past 2 years, and decided cocktails and pubs and days and nights in were more our kind of thing. So now moving on to probably what you will want to know the most is exams and workload. Is it really as hard as everyone says it is? Is it really that intense? Is it a lot of pressure? And for me, for my course, which I've, like I said before, is business law, yes, it is intense, it is hard, and it is a lot of pressure. But you would have slowly been preparing yourself from first year, second year to where you are now in third year. So it isn't going to be a monumental shock to the system. What the hell, they didn't prepare us for this. But it is hard and it is intense, and that's because this is now your last year. This is 80% of your overall grade. So you really got to get your shit together. You've got to try really hard. And I know people that completely turned it around in their last year of uni. I didn't even recognise them. The people that would hardly show up in first year and mess around were the people really applying themselves now in third year. And you know what? They were actually pretty smart, and you would see a completely different side to them, because it's almost as if they thought, oh, it's 80%, I'll try a bit more now. So it is intense, it is hard, it is a lot of pressure, but you have to take breaks. You have to allow yourself, whether this is when you're revising, if you're doing a mock exam, if you're making notes, because it is hard, it is intense, you have to give yourself breaks. And for me, it really helped me living with the girls that I lived with, especially because all of us tried really hard, but I'm thinking particularly of one friend, which, if she's watching, this is Katrina. She was doing financial maths, and her course was so crazy intense. It was literally like, if you looked at her working out and her notes and stuff, it was like it was in a different language because of the whole, it just was crazy. So me and her, we're quite hard on ourselves. We really do probably just overwork ourselves. So it was really good for me and for her to have each other in the house when we're revising, because we sort of had similar workloads, similar days in uni. It just seemed like our courses were quite information heavy. So we really bonded actually during our third year. Even though we were best friends before, we became a lot closer in our third year, just because we all seemed to be doing practice papers at the same times, and then we'd take breaks together. I'd go into her room, see what she's doing, and then maybe 10, 15, half an hour, 30 minutes later, after having a chat and a cup of tea and a snack, you kind of just feel a lot lighter, like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders, and they can go back into your room and do a bit more revising and a bit more note taking. So it is hard, but take breaks and really try and lean on your friends. Everybody's in the same situation, whether you have exams or your course is 100% coursework based, because we had two, I'm not sure if one of my friends, no, she did have exams. Two of our housemates did similar courses and they were 100% coursework based. That didn't mean that their courses were easier, it just meant that we were kind of assessed in completely different ways. So they had a lot of essay writing, courseworks, deadlines, word limits, that kind of thing. So we could kind of try and lean on each other and just get each other through our third year and just make it just as easy as possible for us to just just to get through it together. So it was really important for me to have other people in the house that had a similar work ethic to what I did, which is because we've had little locks in our rooms as well. Sometimes you would just have to take yourself away, and I'd say to the girls that I'm going to do some work today. I'm going to be doing a mock paper, which is 3 hours. I'll come to you, don't come to me. Or I'm going to lock my room, and if you knock and I don't answer, it's because I'm busy. So sometimes you do have to be strict and just take yourself off and just say to your housemates, look, please don't disturb me. I'm really busy today. I've got an exam next week, I've got an exam tomorrow. So I'm just going to lock myself in my room for a couple of hours. But then again, like I said, allow yourself time to come away, have a break, see what your friends are doing, just sit and have a cup of tea together and then come back to it. But also don't work too hard on yourself, and don't put loads and loads of pressure on yourself, because it's already pressure enough. So in terms of the workload, for me, there was a lot more presentations, a lot more independent work. It really is, because it's 80% and it counts. There's a lot more work and a lot of stuff for you to do on your own. And if you're anything like me, I hated presentations. If I was at school, I remember we had a day where we had presentations. I would honestly go to the point where I would wake up in the morning, dread it, try and pull a sick day from my mum to not go to school because I knew in third period or something I've got a presentation. It honestly would be that bad sometimes. I'd think of any way I could get out of this presentation, because I just didn't like the thought of standing up in front of people, talking, potentially going really red, stuttering, or just looking like an idiot. And especially because of uni, they want you to kind of really know what you're saying. So if you can, because you're marked on these presentations as well, don't have scripts. So it's like, for me, I really like to know exactly what I'm saying, how I'm going to say it, rehearse it, and practice to the point where it is like a script, and I've got it kind of like engraved in my head. I know exactly what I'm saying when, and when I finish one word, that's when I know the next thing's going to start, or that I go on to the next slide. So yeah, you do a lot of presentations. And the one thing, like a piece of advice I would say surrounding, if you're also, I don't think anybody likes public speaking, but the only way I kind of got around it and found that in the end some of my best grades were from presentations is just to practice. And uni will give you advice and try and prepare you for presentations. One of my last year modules, because I didn't have a dissertation, which we'll go into later on, was completely based on the exam was almost like a presentation. You have this mini interview. I was the solicitor, the role playing the solicitor, and the examiner was playing the role as the client coming to me for legal advice. So in a sense, that whole exam was based on my presentational skills and how I presented myself right there and then. And the only way you can do that and get a good grade, like you would for any exam, would be to practice. So for me, I would do like I'm doing now. I would record myself and just try and go over and over and over what it is that I've prepared to say, how I'm going to deal with certain scenarios. Then I would listen to voice recordings, and whilst in my head I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say and what's going to come next. I'd have like earphones in, so I'd have my voice playing of what I'm saying in my presentation. I'd almost try and like guess what I'm going to be saying next, so I memorize it. And if you slip up or you forget something, you kind of get the grasp of what you're trying to say and where you're going next with things. So try and record yourself if you can, voice record, practice in front of your friends. Like I said, for one of my exams we had the client as a solicitor scenario, and the way all of our seminars pretty much were, you would sit down in your seminars with a partner, and then you would do role reverse. So one scenario you're being the client, and the next one you're the solicitor. So they try and practice and build you up ready so you feel confident with loads of scenarios by the time you get to the exam. But I would really recommend doing extra work. So what I mean by this is, we had loads of other scenarios that we could do which were available on our uni learning intranet. So I downloaded those scenarios, I sat down with my boyfriend and I said, I know this is a bit cringy and I'm a bit embarrassed and it's going to be a bit uncomfortable the first few times, but I'd really love it if you could sit down and practice with me, and if you could pretend to be the client and come to me with these scenarios, and he'll have a piece of paper knowing what he's going to say or the problems he has, and then I try on the spot advice or try and listen and ask really good questions. And that's the only way you're going to get around public speaking and presentations, is really just to practice like you would for any other exam. So like I've already mentioned, a lot of people, most people will have their dissertations in their third year, probably will get your topics and stuff even before you come back to uni to start your third year, and you can try and make notes for that before we even come back to third year. But we had the option to do the dissertation, but we also had an alternative module to that, and pretty much everybody chose the alternative module to the dissertation, because anyone who's done a dissertation knows that you've got a huge word count. It's just this giant piece of work, your independent research. You come up with everything yourself, the findings, the questionnaires, on your own. You have to ask people to fill them out. It's such a huge piece of work and you put so much time into it that you really want to get the best grade possible. It's a lot of pressure to get a first or a high 2-1 in your dis. So when we had the option to do an alternative module, everybody jumped at the chance. So in terms of seminars and lectures are pretty similar to your first and your second year. You might see a few more faces because people are taking it a bit more seriously. Definitely use lecture recordings as well, because your lecture tutors will record their lectures, and there'll be so many times when you're doing a mock paper and something comes up and you think, they haven't taught us about this, I have no idea what this is about, how I'm meant to get the answer, they haven't taught us about this. If you go back to a lecture recording and you really listen to it, because whilst you're in there having your lectures, some days I would have 3 lectures in a row, so 3 hours of sitting there note taking, listening, and some days you just can't take it all in. It's so important to go back to those lecture recordings and really listen and pick out what the lecturers are saying. You might have missed out, which I did plenty of times, huge bits of information, huge alternative scenarios, which are the answers to the mock exams I was struggling on. So to go to all the lectures like you should, but failing that, definitely go back to the lecture recordings because they're so helpful, more helpful than what I realised initially. In terms of seminars, again, the same sort of advice that I'd give to second years is really get involved. This is your last year now, and you've been doing this course for 3, 4, some people 6, 7 years, all for this moment, which is to just really make the most out of your seminars. There was one seminar I remember from my class, it was intellectual property rights, and I just found that module really tough. But I think what made it even harder is the fact that I remember my course friend Sophie, we just didn't speak, and once you don't speak in the first week to 2 weeks of that seminar, that's it though. You'll have the people that will answer the questions all of the time, you know who the confident people are in that seminar, and then that's it. It's kind of, once you don't speak for the first week to 2, 3 weeks at the beginning of your year, then it becomes more attention is drawn to you if you then pipe up and answer a question, because people think, oh, hang on, who is she? She's never spoken, now she's saying something. So for one of our modules, me and my friend never said a word during this seminar, and luckily the tutor never picked on us. But it became really difficult then when he was explaining something, and we were both sat there thinking, I have no idea what he's on about. I don't feel as though I can even ask for help because I've barely spoke. So it just seems awkward now, and then you'd have the 2 or 3 people that would always talk. So try and get involved from the moment you start your third year, second year, because the more vocal you'll be, the more comfortable you will feel asking for help and just asking for more of an explanation, and hopefully getting a better grade because of it. So definitely get involved with your seminars, go to all of your lectures and use the lecture recordings, especially because I found out in my second year we had a huge piece of coursework and one of the last lectures before handing in this coursework deadline, they gave a huge hint about I don't know if it was the last question or referencing, or there was something in that lecture which was a really big hint about what to include in your coursework, which they will do throughout. They really don't want you to just go in there blind. If they can, the lecturers and seminar tutors will give you as many hints and clues, and this may be on the exam, it could be this, because they want to get a good pass rate as well. Is they gave the huge hint in one of these lectures, and luckily I did go, so I managed to change some of my coursework just before submitting it because they gave this hint. Whereas the people that hadn't gone to this lecture before handed in their coursework completely misunderstood the question, submitted their coursework, and when they got their grade back, they soon realised, oh, that's not what I thought it was. But the people that went to the lecture actually understood and got the hint. So sometimes lecturers can be kind of sneaky in that sense and give you clues for the people that actually care and want to show up. So just to save yourself any hassle, just go anyway. And one other piece of advice I give about exams and workload is, unlike school where you would have homeworks and you would give in your homework at the end of each week, and then you would get your homework back on a Monday or something, or even at A-levels, you would hand in like a practice essay and then you get it back the next week and then you've got a bit of feedback. Uni isn't necessarily like that, at least in my experience. You don't really do homeworks, you prepare for your seminars as much as you can, and sometimes the seminar tutor will come around and see what you've done, but you don't necessarily hand things in to be marked, which is strange. I thought it was strange because I really wanted to know feedback. How did I improve from last time? Am I understanding this concept? Am I applying my ideas right? I just want a bit of reassurance that I'm actually understanding what you're saying and how I'm applying my knowledge. So my advice for that is your seminar tutors will usually have additional essay titles, perhaps a piece of work in your seminar group could be then used as an essays title. So then do all those essays, do the extra work, do all the practices and the mocks. It may really feel like you're trying to brown nose the seminar tutors because you're handing in additional work, and don't get me wrong, in the beginning of the year I saw one or two people at the end of the lesson or of the seminar handed in like an essay title, and I think, oh God, look at you, aren't you so great doing extra work and getting people to mark it? But then you realise a couple of weeks later, actually that's quite a good idea, because then they're getting feedback on what they're doing, they know exactly whereabouts they kind of are grade wise, because like I say, you don't get that reassurance every week from handing in homework. It's kind of as and when. You might get once where it's kind of a practice coursework, a practice essay, and you've got one piece of feedback. So then you've got this one piece of paper to be like, okay, so on that topic, I know that I did really well and I got a first. But if something else comes up which I'm really struggling on, I have no idea where I am grade-wise. So towards the end, especially the modules that I was struggling in, I did extra work, and I'd go out of uni time to the seminar tutors to give them my work. They would like scan read it and give us feedback right there and then, say this is really good, I like this point how you did that, this needs a bit of work. Overall I would say this piece of work is a grade this or a grade that. And I found for me that was the best way that I knew kind of where I was, and just to get feedback really. So I would recommend doing that if that's an option for you. Now I'm going to move on to preparing yourself for post-uni life. So another thing that I've said before is volunteer if that's an option. Get experience if experience is offered to you. If you can, during the summer holidays, get experience, because when you finish uni, which will be a completely different video, it really is a shock. I expected to finish uni and kind of have a job lined up for me and go straight into it, or have something in the pipelines or something that I knew, okay, when I'm going to finish uni, this is what I'm doing. But I didn't. And there's a huge pressure for everybody to know exactly what they're doing. What's your plan after uni? What are you going to do after uni? What are you going to do with your degree? What are you going to do with yourself? And it's like, whoa, I haven't even finished uni yet. Can you just let me do this first and then I'll figure that out? But it is a lot of what people talk about. What you're going to do after uni, what you're going to do with your degree, are you doing a postgraduate, have you got a graduate scheme job lined up? All those kind of things are going to start to come up in third year, right at the beginning of third year. And it is pressure, it is a lot, it is intense. But what I would say is just try and get a bit of experience, a bit of voluntary work. Like I've said before, I did a bit of volunteering in our legal advice centre within our uni, and that, I'm glad I did that, because it was kind of experience for me, not only to put on your CV because you think I should have something like this on there, but real experience within the kind of workplace and sector that I'm studying for. And it could really be an eye-opener as to, like, this is so me, I can't wait, I'm going to do a postgraduate, I'm going to do this, that and the other. Or you could be working in there and think, no, I'm not interested in this, I don't care about this, I'm not passionate about this. To be completely honest, a lot of people in their third year will come to the end of their degree and realise, shit, I don't think this is the career path for me. And there is nothing wrong with feeling that way. I definitely did. I know a lot of people did. In fact, I know so many people that finished their degree or got into third year and thought, I don't want to admit it, but I don't actually think this is for me anymore. And since studying it and really knowing what I'm going into and how my life is going to be, I don't think it's for me. And you kind of think, well, what a waste of money, what a waste of time. But you've got to think, how are you meant to know at age 17, 18, when you're doing your uni applications, what exactly you want to do with your life? I mean, what are you meant to know what you're going to do with your life at 22, where I am now? I don't know, is the honest answer. I didn't know at 18. I just thought, I like business, and law is something that I think sounds like a really good profession, and I could just see myself going from strength to strength in a job like that. It's not just dead end, you can always work your way up. So that's what I thought, fine, I'll do that. I had no law experience before that, and really I only did GCSE business studies, so I had not much to go off. I just thought, yeah, I think I could do that. So I did it, and it came to my third year when I was doing my volunteering experience in the legal advice centre that I thought, I don't know actually. There's some people that just are thriving. They know exactly what they want to do. They're doing amazing in their experience. They're doing amazing volunteering. They did a whole placement year. They've got a graduate scheme lined up because of their placement year. They've made links. They've done networking. They've got it all sorted out. There are people like that, but there's also a lot of people that have no idea. And I think you kind of feel a lot of pressure in your third year to know exactly what you're doing and to have your life figured out. And sometimes that pressure can come from yourself, which for me, that's where all the pressure was coming from. I never had any pressure from friends, from my uni lecturers or seminars. I never had any pressure from my parents, my family to have it all figured out. All the pressure came from me, because I thought, oh my god, I've just completely wasted 3 years of my life doing a degree I'm not actually sure that I'm going to go into. Because another thing, preparing you for post-uni life, is I didn't realise really until way into my degree that to do law and to have that as a profession in your job, it isn't 3 years at uni, it's 6 years. You have to do your 3 years undergrad, 1 year postgraduate, and then 2 years in a training contract. Had I known that I really, from start to finish, it was going to be a 6-year journey, I wouldn't have chose it. Being completely honest, I wouldn't have chose that degree. Had I properly researched, understood where I was going to be going with this, I wouldn't have taken it, because I loved education and I always knew I was going to go to uni. At the end of uni, I became sick of education. You kind of realise how the people at the end of school or the end of A-levels felt when they thought, I'm not going to uni, I just want to work, I'm sick of education. And I got to that point in my third year of uni and I thought, I'm kind of over this now, I want to work, I want to make something of myself, make money, and kind of come into the next chapter of my life and become an adult. But I've got 3 more years until I can do that. And I just thought, no, if I'm being honest to yourself, which you have to be, that's not what I want to do. There's no point in me doing a postgraduate year and then a training contract if I'm not going to put everything into it. So that's why I didn't apply for my postgraduate in law, because I knew hand on heart that's more debt that I'm getting into for a career path that I'm not entirely sure that I actually want to take. So you just have to be really honest with yourself. There are going to be loads of people around you who are applying for that next step and know what they're going to be doing and applying for postgraduates, and uni may be pushing you towards that route because it's the next logical step for that degree, but you've got to take the next logical step for you. And for me, I had gone through a lot in the end of my second year of uni and third year in terms of mental health and just a lot of things going on in my life. I just thought, I cannot put myself wholeheartedly into another year of uni and get more debt. I just don't think I can do it. So I didn't. I come out of uni and here I am now. And like I said, I'll make a video all about that and the reality of what life is like after uni. But preparing for post-uni life, try and get that volunteering and that experience in, because a lot of employers will be looking for you to be doing something whilst you're at uni. They don't expect you to just be sitting there doing your degree and that's not enough. Even though you think, I've worked my arse off for this, and yet that's not enough. My degree isn't enough. And I think that's the conclusion that I kind of found, is that you need to be doing something else. And I kind of wish that I had told myself back in uni, although it was hard because, like I said before, you're studying full time. I volunteered, I was working part time, as well as trying to live, trying to have a social life, trying to keep my relationship, trying to see my family and just try and keep my well-being together. It's like, and that's not enough. I have to do more. What do you mean I've got to do more? But in some ways, there are opportunities that come up and you have to put yourself out there and you have to email places and you have to try and network. If you really believe this is what you're meant to be doing, you want to do it and you'll want to get the experience and try and make the links and the networks then. And employers will be looking for you to have something else other than just going to uni and having a degree. They want to see why you're different, as opposed to all the other hundred thousands of graduates that will be graduating. So that's kind of tips for preparing for post-uni and the realities of what you'll find in your third year. Now I'm just going to finish this video off with a bit of advice. So just to keep it kind of light-hearted at first, try and make the most of it. This is your last year, unless you're doing a postgraduate or a master's, that you will ever be a student, where you kind of do have the excuse of, oh, I'm a student this, I'm a student that, I'm poor, I go out all the time, I get drunk, I'm messy. I'm a student. It's kind of like, oh, it's acceptable then, don't worry about it. Just really relish the fact that you are a student. You don't have much responsibilities right now. You're living with your bestest friends in a city that you probably don't live in already, and this is the last time that you're going to be able to do something like this and have all the time off that you're going to be getting. I mean, of course, no one expected when I finished uni that I would have months and months off now because of a global pandemic, but in normal life, you're never going to be getting all of that time off and that free time back. As soon as you go into the working world, you only get your Saturday and Sunday, potentially not even that, or your 28 days of holiday, and that's it. You don't get your 3 months, 4 months off at summer and a month at Christmas and then 3 weeks at Easter. So just really relish in the fact that you're living with your best friends. You can be living your best life, go out whenever you like. You're not living with your parents. A lot of people will be moving back in with their family, their parents, and that's a shock for themselves after 3 years living on your own. Just try and relish in the fact that you are a student. This is the last year you're going to be doing this, and just spend quality time with your friends and just don't try and put too much pressure on having a plan and know exactly what you're doing. Kind of live in the moment whilst trying to prepare yourself for the next year, and just really enjoy it. Try hard, enjoy it, and make the most of it, because I miss it so much now, and it's so easy to say now that I'm not in it that I miss it. But yeah, I do miss living with my friends. Towards the end, I could not wait to move out. I didn't want to live with friends anymore. I didn't want to live in Nottingham anymore. I didn't want to do my degree anymore, just because you've become exhausted by everything and the stress of it all, that you're like, I am completely done, over it, just want to graduate now, just want to finish. And I left uni basically after my last exam. I didn't stay all the way to the end. I didn't go out afterwards. I didn't do all the extra things they do for last year of uni. And I think I look back now that I wish I had gone to those events. And one last piece of advice that I would give on a more serious note is just keep in touch with your friends, check up on each other, because your last year is hard. It is a lot of pressure. A lot of people won't adjust to the amount of pressure of not only the course, the exams and post-uni, that they will struggle. And there's no shame in admitting that you are struggling in your third year of uni. All of us in our house admitted that at times it just got too much, and you just need a bit of a cry, a cup of tea, and just to rant to your friends about it, and then you'll be all right. Or if that isn't the case, then uni do offer counselling services for free, and I would definitely recommend those as well. I'm not afraid to say that there was times in my second and third year of uni where things did just get too much for me, and I needed to speak to somebody that wasn't family or friends, someone that was out of the whole situation, and just say that I'm just struggling a little bit, and loads of people will feel the same. So that's one last piece of advice that I would say is, if you're struggling and your mental health isn't great because of the pressure, because it is a lot, or because of personal circumstances, then don't be afraid to reach out to the uni services that they offer, which a lot of them will offer their own counselling, and to take that. There's no shame in it, and if it makes you feel a bit better, then you can apply yourself more, and then you can hopefully get a better grade and just feel a bit better from it. So yes, that is my video on what to expect from your third year of uni. I really hope you've enjoyed it. There will be 2, maybe 3 more videos coming in my university series, so please keep an eye out for those, and I will see you in the next one.